Everyone knows Bhagat Singh, and everyone knows that he fought bravely against the British, but when I began to reflect on his life more deeply, not just as a freedom fighter, but as a symbol of awareness and courage, a powerful question emerged in my mind. A question that I believe has crossed your mind too at some point in your life. Maybe late at night when everything feels quiet and heavy, Bhagat Singh knew exactly who his enemy was, and he knew how to fight that enemy with clarity, sacrifice, and conviction. But do we really know who our enemy is today? And more importantly, do we know how to fight it? Because if we are honest with ourselves, the answer is no. And that is why so many of us spend our lives lying passively on our beds, scrolling endlessly, watching one more reel, one more video, one more distraction, while our potential slowly leaks away without us even noticing. And the truth is that this situation is not entirely our fault, because the world we live in today is very different from the world Bhagat Singh lived in. Back then, the enemy was visible. It wore a uniform, it ruled openly, and it made no effort to hide its intentions. But today, our enemies are no longer standing in front of us with weapons. They are hidden, invisible, wrapped in comfort, pleasure, convenience, and familiarity, and yet they are deeply embedded inside us, shaping our thoughts, habits, desires, and choices without our conscious permission. And the most dangerous part is that there is now a middle layer between us and our enemy, something that quietly connects us to destruction while making us believe that everything is normal, something that distracts us, entertains us, and numbs us so effectively that we dan to even realize that we are being linked to the very force that is ruining our lives from the inside. This hidden force blocks our inner vision, the awareness that allows us to recognize what is harmful and what is meaningful, just like a person working in an office might believe they are doing honest, harmless work every day, showing up on time, completing tasks, earning a salary, and going home, feeling responsible without realizing that the machines they are designing or the systems they are building will later be used to destroy innocent lives. And because they never see the final result with their own eyes, they convince themselves that they have done nothing wrong, that they have no enemy, when in reality their work has unknowingly connected them to destruction. And in the same way, when we consume junk food or packaged food, we tell ourselves that we have done nothing wrong, that we were just hungry, that everyone eats like this, without realizing that we are slowly feeding our bodies chemicals that weaken us, damage us, and shorten our lives. But because that damage is hidden inside colorful packaging, attractive branding, and pleasurable taste, we fail to recognize it as an enemy. And this is exactly how today's real enemy operates. It does not attack us directly, it seduces us, it comforts us, it entertains us. You watch reels all day, and tell yourself that it is just harmless entertainment, just a way to relax. But slowly it destroys your focus, your discipline, your ability to sit with discomfort, and your sense of time. You watch porn and tell yourself that it is natural, that it gives pleasure, that everyone does it. But internally you are weakening your mind, your self-control, your relationships, and your sense of purpose. And by the time you realize something is wrong, the habit has already taken root inside you. Enemies still exist today, but they are disguised so cleverly that they push the truth inside our minds into the background, suppressing our inner voice and leading us toward destruction, without letting us consciously realize what is happening. In the past, enemies stood face to face and openly declared themselves. There was honesty even in opposition, but today the enemy has entered our homes through our screens, slipped into our pockets through our phones, and settled inside our minds through habits and desires. And without realizing it, we have become its servants, buying what it produces, consuming what it offers, and walking on a pre-designed path where we study not to understand but to earn, work not to grow but to survive, get married because it is expected, have children because it is tradition, live comfortably as long as possible, and then die quietly, all without ever questioning whether this life was truly our own choice or just a script written for us. And the reason we do not see this clearly is because something has settled inside our minds. Something subtle but powerful, something that keeps us trapped while making us believe we are free. And until we throw it out, we will remain stuck in the same cycle. And that thing is our selfishness, our greed, our attachment to comfort and pleasure. The part of us that allows an external force to dominate us completely while draining us silently. Because deep down we want what it offers. We want ease, we want escape, we want pleasure without effort. And that is why a fight is necessary, not against society, not against technology, not against the world, but against ourselves. A revolution within, where the first step is identifying the real enemy by looking honestly at our daily actions and asking whether what we consume, chase, and prioritize is truly needed by us, or merely desired by the animal within us that seeks instant gratification. And once this awareness begins to form, the next step is to fight. But this is where most people feel helpless. They recognize the enemy, but feel powerless to act. And they wonder how they can possibly win against something that feels so deeply rooted. And the truth is that this helplessness does not come from the enemy being stronger than us. It comes from our attachment to it, because we are still emotionally invested in what it gives us. The comfort of endless scrolling, the escape of games, the dopamine of likes and notifications, the pleasure of lust, the instant relief that our minds have become addicted to. We do not fight because even after knowing it is harmful, we still choose to stay on its side, because the desire to indulge is deeply rooted in human nature. And no matter how much we try to suppress it, it keeps pulling us back, reminding us of how easy it is to give in. That is why running away never works. Deleting an app for a few days or making temporary promises rarely leads to real change. Because the enemy is not outside us, it is inside us. And only confrontation can weaken it. You must understand that no matter how much you try to satisfy this inner animal, its hunger will never end, because hunger ends when the stomach is full, but desire has no limit. Animals eat only until their stomach is full and then stop. But humans consume to satisfy the mind, and the mind is never satisfied. You can have more money, more pleasure, more entertainment, more validation, and still feel empty, because all the things we chase are material and external, and they are trying to fill an inner emptiness that they were never designed to fill. And once you truly understand this, once this realization settles into your bones, you naturally begin to stop giving these things so much importance. You stop feeding them attention, energy, and emotion. And when that happens, these hidden enemies begin to weaken on their own. Because fighting does not always mean force, sometimes fighting simply means refusal, restraint, and discipline. Just as Bhagat Singh refused to accept what the British offered and demanded his rightful dignity as a human being, you too must refuse what this hidden enemy offers in the form of distraction, illusion, and pleasure, what is often called Maya. The British were visible enemies. Maya is invisible, but the principle remains the same. Boycott what weakens you and demand what strengthens you. When you try to take risks, start something meaningful, speak your truth, or step toward growth. This illusion will try to scare you, confuse you, and pull you back into comfort. But that is exactly the moment when you must stand firm and move forward anyway. Because if you do not, you will remain a servant to it forever, repeating the same patterns, blaming circumstances, and wondering why life feels empty. This idea is deep and uncomfortable, but if even one person truly understands it and applies it consistently, their entire life can change, because awareness is the first spark of real freedom. And until we recognize and confront what is controlling us from within, true independence, clarity, and purpose will always remain just out of reach.